Hey everyone, so I was recently diagnosed with fibromyalgia, and it's been 14 years of struggle to get that diagnosis and figure out just what's going on with my body. Things have been getting really, really bad, and just this lack of energy and being sore all the time just grates on a person. And so I just kind of wanted to do a support video for anybody who struggles with fibromyalgia as well. Um, Explain a little bit about what it is so there's a little more understanding for it. I myself, it took me till 10:30 to get out of bed this morning, and normally it takes me till at least 9 o'clock, just with all the different lack of energy that I typically have. And yeah, today's just a particularly bad day. Just no energy and just feel like complete garbage. But I figure, there's a lot of people who probably are going through fibromyalgia who need support, and people who aren't going through it need to understand a little more about what it is. And so I'm just going to do some reading of what fibromyalgia is and try to explain that to people. So fibromyalgia is a disorder characterized by widespread musculoskeletal pain, accompanied by fatigue, sleep, memory, and mood issues. Researchers believe the fibromyalgia amplifies painful sensations by affecting the way your brain and spinal cord process painful and non-painful signals. And I'm getting all this from the Mayo Clinic website. I typically trust them a little bit more than others just because they do a lot of research and they deal with this stuff day in and day out and put out a lot of really good information. So with today's, we're going to tackle basically just struggling to get the words out. Sorry, my brain is really foggy. Um, Overarching thing of what fibromyalgia is. Then in another video, I'll tackle maybe some of the treatments and stuff like that. So symptoms often begin after an event such as physical trauma, surgery, infection, or significant psychological stress. In other cases, symptoms gradually accumulate over time with no single triggering event. So for me, it would be the surgery and physical trauma, as well as some psychological stress. So I had 2 heart procedures done when I was just reaching adulthood, and both those heart procedures were very sort of invasive in terms of the way that they had to stick cords all the way up into my heart to burn some holes closed that were in my heart. And I had to have it done twice, which just increased that trauma. And it was after that second one that I really started noticing a lot of this pain. And that was 14 years ago, and they have only just now come up with a diagnosis. I don't know why it took so long. And then psychological stress. I just had a lot of abandonment issues, as well as being molested twice as a child. All that has just wreaked havoc on my brain. And I'm mending a lot of the fences from a lot of the psychological trauma and working with that, which has been a great journey there, that in itself. But still, it's all just played that havoc on my brain. They do say women are more likely to develop fibromyalgia than what men are. Many who have fibromyalgia also have tension headaches, which I do often get migraines and that kind of thing, as well as TMJ or temporal mandibular joint disorders, and uh, mandibular meaning mandible or jaw. And I do have that as well. I grind my teeth as well as clench really badly, which can lead to tension headaches as well. As well as IBS or irritable bowel syndrome, which is something I've suffered badly with. And same with anxiety and depression are both more signals of that. And I have both of those as well. While there's no cure for fibromyalgia, a variety of medications can help control symptoms. Exercise, relaxation, and stress reduction measures also may help. Exercise is a tough one to try and do because when you're in a lot of pain and no energy, it's really hard to motivate yourself to exercise. Relaxation and stress reducing measures, I've started doing jewelry making and that kind of thing, and that is really helps with just reducing that stress and all that kind of stuff from that. Symptoms would be widespread pain, which I have pain all over my body, from knee joints to hip joints to my shoulder and elbow, my wrists, my rib cage and back are especially bad. And then I get of course, the headaches from all that. Restless legs is another common thing that I have. The pain associated with fibromyalgia is often described as a constant dull ache that has lasted for at least 3 months. With mine, it's been almost 14 years. Get little breaks here and there, but it always comes back, and it seems to be getting worse as I get older. To be considered widespread, the pain must occur on both sides of your body, above and below your waist, which for me it definitely does. Fatigue. People with fibromyalgia often awaken tired, even though they report sleeping for long periods of time. Sleep is often disrupted by pain, and many patients with fibromyalgia have other sleep disorders such as restless legs and sleep apnea. So this describes me to a T minus the sleep apnea. I just awaken more tired than when I went to bed with, and I can sleep for long hours, and it doesn't seem to matter at all. And it definitely is disrupted by pain. I'll even dream that I'm in pain oftentimes, and wake up to find that dream was not just a dream, it was me in pain. Cognitive difficulties. A symptom referred to as fibro fog impairs the ability to focus, pay attention, and concentrate on mental tasks. That is a huge one that I deal with constantly, and I know most people I talk to about fibromyalgia, that is something that they describe as a big symptom for them too, is the fibro fog. Fibromyalgia often coexists with other conditions such as irritable bowel, chronic fatigue syndrome, migraine and other types of headaches, interstitial cystitis, or painful bladder syndrome, mandibular joint disorder, or TMJ, anxiety, depression, and postural tachycardia syndrome, or POTS as it's otherwise known as. So for that, whether the IBS would be a check, chronic fatigue would be a yes, migraine, yes, the painful bladder is a no, TMJ is a yes, anxiety, depression, yes, and POTS, what that is, and I didn't know what this was until recently, and then I'm like, oh yeah, I've had that for years. It's where anytime you go to sit up or stand up, your body gets really dizzy and you get blackened vision. Oftentimes I end up flat on my butt. And you just get that blurred vision and all that kind of stuff from it. And what it is, it's because of bad blood circulation that causes it, and that's something that I have always struggled with, bad blood circulation, and always struggled when getting up or sitting upright, that kind of thing. Just you get really dizzy. Causes of fibromyalgia. Many researchers have repeated nerve stimulation. They believe that repeated nerve stimulation causes brain and spinal cord of people with fibromyalgia to change. This change involves abnormal increase in levels of certain chemicals in the brain that signal pain. In addition, the brain's pain receptors seem to develop a sort of memory of the pain and become sensitized, meaning that they overreact to painful and non-painful signals. Other factors would be genetics. So it often runs in families and lines. of people, and definitely, my mother as well as my grandmother on that side have struggled with a lot of pain and that kind of thing. So it probably ties right in with that. Infections, some illnesses appear to trigger and aggravate fibromyalgia. Physical or emotional events. So fibromyalgia can be sometimes triggered by a physical event such as car accident, or prolonged psychological stress may also trigger the condition. We discussed that a little bit earlier. Risk factors would be your sex or gender, um, mainly in women, more so than men. Family history is lines with that genetics that I just discussed. So if you have a sibling or a parent that has it, you're more likely to develop it. Other disorders, if you have osteoarthritis, rheumatoid arthritis, or lupus, you may be more likely to develop fibromyalgia. And pain, fatigue, and poor quality sleep quality associated with fibromyalgia can interfere with your ability. Sorry, I'm getting messages. To function at home or on the job. The frustration of dealing with the often misunderstood condition can result in depression and mental health related anxiety. And yes, definitely that is huge. The frustration of people not getting your pain, not understanding it. I'm supposed to be returning back to work here in the end of February. I don't know how I'm going to do it. Just because, I've been struggling so much with energy and with being in so much pain. I don't grasp how I'm supposed to manage to work. So that is going to be a huge struggle for me, is figuring out how to go about it and work. That is going to be quite brutal, and nobody seems to understand it. They don't get what I'm going through. And so it's so frustrating that people just expect that, you're going to get to go to work and expect everything's going to be just fine. And it doesn't work that way. Working through fibromyalgia often actually makes it far worse. Especially what I've found in the past is it draws it out and makes it take longer for me to get through a bout of it, which for me it's months at a time often. That I struggle with this big time. So could use prayers. And anybody who wants support with this kind of stuff, feel free to message or email me. Put the email in the description of the video. So just feel free to do that. Thanks for watching, everybody. I will do updates here and there as to how I'm doing, as well as continue to discuss a little bit more about what fibromyalgia is. So thanks for watching, everybody.